My work is about Blender. This video is a 3D modeling of the Blender logo. We can define Blender as written in Wikipedia. Blender is a professional, free and open source 3D computer graphics software toolset used for creating animated films, visual effects, art, 3D printed models, interactive 3D applications, and video games. History. The Dutch animation studio Neo Geo developed Blender as an in-house application in January 1995, with the primary author being software developer Ton Roosendaal. The name Blender was inspired by a song by Yellow, from the album Baby. On July 18, 2002, Roosendaal started the Free Blender campaign, a crowdfunding precursor. The campaign aimed for open sourcing Blender for a one-time payment of $167 at the time, collected from the community. On September 7, 2002, it was announced that they had collected enough funds and would release the Blender source code. Today, Blender is free, open source software that is, apart from the Blender Institute's 2 full-time and 2 part-time employees, developed by the community. Uses in international media. Blender has been used many times since its launch, including for TV commercials in Australia, Iceland, Russia, Sweden and Brazil. In Brazil, it was used by commercials from a local petroleum company from Mato Grosso in 2006. Also by Fiat in a 2009 campaign for a new Fiat Stilo. NASA also uses Blender for many of their 3D models, including an interactive website where it's possible to pilot the Curiosity rover, landed on Mars. On the movie industry, aside many minor applications and movies, it's important to notice the vastly use of Blender animations on the Spider-Man 2 movie, 2004. Blender also has its own open projects, that counts with many open movie projects, some of them already concluded. About Blender. The success of Blender came from 3 main features. Its simplicity to use, combined with a vastly number of applications, the large amount of formats supported by Blender, and quick ability to save and load its files. Each of these features will be discussed. This work focus on explaining Blender file compatibility and the depths of Blender file format. It starts by describing the Blender software, followed by a review of the supported file formats, and finally the blend file structure. Main applications. The main Blender applications consists on 3D modeling, a video editing tool, and a game engine. Each will be superficially described. 3D modeling. Blender 3D modeling is based on polygon meshes, that basically consists on a collection of vertices, edges and faces that defines the shape of a 3D object in computer graphics. It also has its own render engine named Cycles that can use CPU, CUDA and OpenCL rendering. Finally, support for Python scripting to make faster edition is provided. Video editing tool. Blender Video Editor is named Video Sequence Editor. It's a nonlinear video editor, which means it can edit several parts of a video without a chronological order. Game Engine. Blender Game Engine supports Python, C and C++ scripting. There's a particle collision system, with many shapes and dynamics available. And there's also support for OpenGL lightning. WebGL. Blender also has support for web browsers by a tool called Blend for Web that uses WebGL. Many formats supported. Blender has several image, audio and video formats available, and each will be discussed. Image formats. In this board, we can see Blender image input supported formats. They are BMP, Iris, PNG, JPEG, JPEG 2000, Target, Cineon and DPX, OpenEXR, Radiance HDR, and TIFF. One of the main output formats available by Blender is the OpenEXR, that is noticeable of mentioning because of the codecs available, being PIZ, ZIP, RLE and PXR24. Audio and video formats. These are the main audio and video formats supported by Blender. Main audio formats are MP2, MP3, AC3, M4A, MP4, 3GP, OGG, OGA, WAV and FLAC. Main video formats are MPG, MPEG, MP4, AVI, MOV, DV, OGG, OGG, FLV and MKV. About Blender compatibility. Each external file added to Blender is referenced on the blend file by a pointer, which means that there is no need to save the actual files on the blend file. Quick save and load. Blender Quick Save and Load is due to its ability of forwards and backwards compatibility between versions, an SDNA structure, and the blend file format. Compatibility and SDNA. SDNA is a way of organizing each part of a scene by referencing it with its own variable names and types on a line of code, like a class. Practically, this means that each object of a Blender scene is treated like a block, and each block can be accessed individually on a blend file. This causes blend files to be compatible between versions, having only to change pointers and variable names and sizes. Blend file format. Each blend file is composed of a global file header and data blocks, containing each element of a scene. Data blocks are organized in headers and contents, and the last data block of a Blender file ends with a NDB code. Global file header. The global file header of a blend file starts with an identifier that is always Blender, followed by a character describing if the system used to save the file was 32 or 64 bits. Then there is another character saying if the system was big endian or little endian. Most of nowadays computers are little endian. And finally, 3 numbers meaning the version of which the file was saved. In this example, we can see a 2.48 blend file with a 32-bit little endian system. Data block header. Each data block header starts with an identifier of the object followed by the size of the block, and the memory address of the object on the last time Blender was used. Then there's a SDNA index, which means the location of the file on the SDNA structure, and finally, the number of structures on the block. In this example, we can see a scene, indicated by the SC characters, with 1376 bytes long, located on the position 139 on the SDNA index, with only one object. Data block structure. The data block structure is similar to a C class. In this example, the object is the scene of the previous slide. It starts with the object ID, followed by its positions of camera and in the world, and then many other parameters. In the actual version of Blender 2.78, there are about 603 different classes on a file. References. These are the references used to complete this work. Thanks for watching.